Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Myself Isha Tariq Bhatti, MPhil Pharmaceutics from Punjab University, and I'm working as a lecturer in Faculty of Pharmacy, Hajwari University. So this is my sixth lecture of biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics, and the topic of today's discussion is protein binding and its significance. So first of all, we will see what are the learning outcomes of this lecture. So dear students, by the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand protein binding, elimination of protein bound drugs, that is restrictive elimination or non-restrictive elimination, then significance of protein binding, and then clinical significance of protein binding. So first of all, we will see what is protein binding. So protein binding is the complexation of the protein complexation of drug to plasma protein is known as protein binding. So when a drug binds with plasma protein, it will form a complex which is called as protein binding. Protein binding occurs due to interaction of the drug molecule with the binding sites available on the protein molecule. So what happens is that the drug molecule it binds with the protein molecule on which there are some binding sites on which the drug is attached, and it will form a protein, drug protein complex that is known as protein binding. Then these binding sites are assumed to be preformed, but binding of one drug may also modify the configuration of the protein in such a way that drug binding influences the nature of binding of further molecules of drug. So what happened is that these binding sites, usually these binding sites are preformed and already present on the protein molecules. But what happened is that when one drug bind with a protein molecule, it will modify the configuration of the protein in such a way that it will influence the binding of further molecules or further molecules of drug with the protein at the binding site. Then comes elimination of protein bound drugs. So there are two types of elimination of protein bound drugs. First is restrictive elimination and second one is non-restrictive elimination. So we will study them one by one. First of all, restrictive elimination, the drug's unbound fraction of which is available for metabolism are described as restrictive elimination. So when a drug bound to protein molecule, it will form a drug protein complex, and all of the drug is not bounded to the plasma protein. Some fraction of it is unbounded, which is available for metabolism and then for excretion or elimination. So this is known as restrictive elimination, as the drug which is bound to plasma protein is not available for excretion or elimination purpose. In practice, the molecular effect of protein binding is not always predictable. This effect, that how much drug will bind to the protein, or what will it do with the further reaction, is not always predictable. Such drugs have extensive protein binding and very small plasma clearance. The drugs which bind with receptors, or you can say the drug which bind with the plasma protein, it bind with it so extensively that a very small portion, or you can say a very small portion of drug is available for the clearance, as extensive drug as you know, the larger portion or the larger proportion of the drug is bound to plasma protein. So very less drug is available in unbound fraction, which is available for clearance. The hepatic extraction ratio is also generally small, as the less drug is, or then their unbound fraction due to strong protein binding, as unbound fraction is very small amount or in very small proportion. So what happened is this small unbound form of drug is available for excretion and elimination or further processes. So hepatic extraction ratio of this drug, that is very small drug, so the drug which is extracted from any organ will also be very small, as this is very small fraction of drug that is available for further reactions or elimination processes. So for example, phenylbutazone, the oxychems including piroxicam and tinoxicam, all have hepatic ratio smaller than their unbound fraction in the plasma. As there is a small amount of drug that is available in the plasma, which will show metabolism and excretion. So even a small fraction of this drug will be available for extraction ratio. So this is the point which is described over here. The hepatic elimination of these drugs is therefore restricted. So the hepatic elimination of these drugs, as it is very much small amount available, so it will be eliminated restrictively. Then comes non-restrictive elimination. So some drugs may be eliminated even when they are protein bound. Drugs in this category are described as non-restrictive elimination, as they are not restricted on their bound drug fraction. So what happened in this case is that there is establishment of equilibrium between the bound drug or the unbound drug. So when this equilibrium is established, what happened? The unbound fraction is available for elimination, so it is not dependent on the fraction that is bound. It get eliminated without the involvement of the bound drug. So the elimination of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, propranolol, and diazepam has been reported to be eliminated non-restrictively. So then comes the significance of protein binding. What is the significance of protein binding? Protein binding influences the drug distribution in the body significantly. As the drug is protein bound, so its distribution will be affected. As the drug is bounded, so it cannot be distributed into the body significantly. Next is, drugs are frequently bound to plasma protein, albumin especially. Excessive and frame binding will have a considerable effect on the distribution and excretion of drug. Keeping in view that the fact that only unbound form of drug can negotiate among various compartments. What happened is that it is described over here that if the drug or protein binding is very much firm, or very strong bonding, or they are bonded with the help of covalent bond or other strong bond, it will affect its distribution and excretion. And as we know that only the unbound fraction of the drug is available for further processes, that is metabolism and excretion. So this unbound fraction will negotiate among the various compartments of the body, that we assume that these are the real anatomical compartments of the body. Then comes the principal effect of binding is to increase the initial dose requirement for the drug and create the reservoir of the drug from which the drug may be withdrawn as the free form is excreted or metabolized. So what happened is that the principle that operates in case of binding, protein binding, is that we have to give increase or greater amount of initial dose, as this drug will bind to the plasma protein and it acts as a reservoir from which the drug will be withdrawn very slowly, and slowly in the form of unbound drug, and which is then further metabolized and excreted from the body. However, if the binding is too strong, the release rate is slow. It may not be enough to sustain the free form at the sufficient levels for pharmacological activity, and in such cases, bound drug could not be considered as a reservoir but may cause toxicity. So what happened is that if the drug is very strongly bound to the plasma protein, what will it do? It will release drug. The release rate of drug will be very slow, as it is strongly bounded. So it may not be enough to sustain the free form at the sufficient. So it is not that enough that it will sustain the level of free drug into the body, and for the pharmacological activity. So in such case, the drug that is bound to plasma protein will not act as a reservoir, but it may induce toxicity, or it may lead to toxicity, as the drug is available in the body for longer period of time. So it will produce more effects. It will reside for more time into the body, and as the drugs start to build up into the body, so it will lead to toxicity. Then comes binding have a profound effect on the sojourn of drug in the body. Uh, for example, if the drug is accumulated in the liver too um, uh, too much as it get in the plasma, it may remain in the body for months. For example, radiopaque, diagnostic, etc. Remain in the body for the period of 2 months. So what happened in this case is that, just a minute. So what happened in this case is that if the drug that binding have a profound effect on the sojourn of drug in the body. Sojourn mean temporary stay. For example, if the drug is accumulated in the liver too much as it get in plasma, so it may remain in the body for months. So if the drug it start to accumulate into the liver, um, uh, as it get accumulated into the plasma, what it will do, it will remain in the body for months. For example, radiopaque and diagnostic tools which we use radioactive material. So the radioactive material will stay or accumulated into the liver, and it will stay into the body for the longer period as it get excreted from the body very slowly. So it will remain in body for the period of 2 months. It may stay in the body for the period of 2 months, which is very larger period for any drug to stay into the body. So it can cause toxicity or other adverse effects. And then it in disease condition like nephritis, diabetes, cirrhosis, plasma protein level may decrease. Resultantly, plasma protein binding, loading dose, and duration of action is also decreased. So what happened in these disease condition? As in nephritis, diabetes, cirrhosis, plasma level may be decrease. How it will decrease? As the protein, plasma proteins, that is albumin, it is synthesized into the liver. So if the liver, if the liver function is compromised, what happened? The synthesis will also be decreased. So if there is no synthesis, there will be less available protein into the plasma for the binding. So what happened? That the protein binding, loading dose, and duration of action, these all factors will also be reduced. Then come mostly drugs bind to protein with weak van der Waals forces. Larger the molecule, greater will be the forces. These weak forces make the binding reversible. So mostly drug bind with plasma protein with the help of weaker forces that are van der Waals forces. So as the molecular size of the molecular size, protein and drug complex is size is molecularly is larger the molecule, greater will be the force. Also, as the size of the protein or drug complex get larger, it will be more tightly bound, or you can say there will be more forces involved in this type of complex. These weak forces make the binding reversible. If these binding forces were weak van der Waals forces, then what will happen? These weak forces will make the binding site reversible, as these forces are easier to break, or drug can detach from such binding site with more ease, as these are weaker forces. So not a very much amount, or you can say a very large amount of energy is not required in such cases for a drug to get unbound and to be available into the body in the form of free drug to perform its action. So it makes the binding reversible, these weak forces. Just as shape and functional groups are important to receptors binding, so these are to protein binding. So as you know that for receptor binding, shape and functional groups are very important. So similarly, in case of protein binding, shape and functional group are very important. So like drugs could bind at the same binding site and could compete for each others to thereby increasing or decreasing each other's concentration. So what happened is that the drug which bind to any binding site, it will have some shape that will be complementary to that binding site. So if the drug that have the so any drug that have that specific shape that is complementary to the binding site, it will bound over there or at the binding site. So if another drug that have the same structure or same shape or having same functional group, it have to compete for that binding site. So it must have the same shape or same functional group or same design, so that it can occupy the space, and it must have more affinity for the protein, so that so that it can replace the previous molecule of the drug and take its place, as in case of for example, phenylbutazone replaces warfarin, so because it has more affinity for the protein molecule. And then comes, depending on lipid water partition, a drug may be taken up by the fatty tissues. The ratio of concentration in fat to that in plasma will not be same as directed by partition coefficient, because of the content of water, non-lipids in adipose tissue, and because electrolyte and other solutes alter the dielectric constant. So what happened in this case? The um, binding of drug will also dependent on lipid water partition coefficient. So the amount and the ratio of concentration of drug in fat and in plasma will be different. It will not be the same concentration that is found in plasma or that is found in fat tissues. So why this is so? Because of content of water, non-lipid in the adipose tissue, and because of electrolytes and other solute that will alter the dielectric constant. If the dielectric constant is changed, then the ratio will also be affected, and that is distributed between the fat and the plasma proteins. Then comes clinical significance of the protein binding. First of all, less permeability. Protein bound drugs do not permeate easily through the barriers because of its larger molecular size, leading to restricted distribution. As in case of glomerular filtration, you can say that when the drug is bound to plasma protein, it cannot be filtered through the glomerular capillaries network, as its molecular size is very large. So it will show restrictive distribution to different organs of the body because of its larger size, and the membrane, or you can say the cell membrane, will not permeate the larger molecule to cross it. So therefore, it will show restrictive distribution. Then storage for drug, as they are generally released, so act as a storage for drug, as the drug that is reversibly bound to the plasma protein, it acts as a reservoir, so the drug is slowly released, and it acts as a storage for the drug. So then comes alteration in therapeutic outcome. So protein bound drugs, functional groups are also bound, so therapeutic efficacy is also decreased. So when the protein drug bound drugs functional group is also bound to the protein, then then as it is not available for the receptor to bind with it, so the therapeutic efficacy will also be decreased. Basis for drug interaction. So as during co-administration, one drug may displace the other, which led to increase in free fraction of one drug. So dose adjustment is required. As you know, drug compete for the binding site. So if the drug that is already bound to the plasma protein, its concentration, as you know, if we administer the dose, it will be the loading dose, and it is a bit higher than the normal dose. So when another drug takes its place or displaces it from the binding site, the fraction of the drug, that is a free fraction of the drug that is available into the body, will be increased, and it will produce more pronounced effect. And due to this pronounced or elevated effect, what happened, it will produce the toxicity into the body. So for protein bound drugs, and for those drugs specifically which are replaced by some other drugs, the dose adjustment is very much important, in particularly in such cases. So next is influencing drug metabolism. So bound drugs cannot be metabolized by hepatocytes, so it decreases the metabolism and excretion of drug. So as the bounded drug is not available to hepatocytes for metabolism, and hepatocytes cannot metabolize it, so it will decrease the metabolism and excretion of the drug. And affecting excretion, kidneys do not filter albumin, so protein bound drug is not excreted. As I told you, Bumin capsule cannot, in Bumin capsule, the network of capillaries that is called as glomerular filtration, capsule, or that glomerular capillaries network, it cannot filter the drug which is bound to protein, as it is larger molecule. So as it is not get filtered, so it cannot get excreted from the renal route. So this is the point. And for their excretion, what will it do? It will be excreted through biliary route, and in hepatic biliary, or biliary excretion. What happened is that in biliary secretion, drug, when it metabolized from the liver, it goes into the bile duct, and from bile it comes back into the duodenum, and from duodenum it get excreted from the body in the form of feces. In this form, the drug get excreted from the body. um, so basis for drug classification: on the basis of protein binding, drug can be classified as restrictively eliminating drugs or non-restrictively eliminating drugs. And about that, what is restrictive eliminating drug and what are non-restrictive eliminating drug, I have told you earlier that non-restrictive eliminating drugs are those in which the bounded fraction is not available for excretion, and only the unbound fraction is available for its excretion. And in case of non-restrictive eliminating excretion of drug is not dependent on the fraction of drug that is bound or that is unbound. So it is independent of that. Um, then comes effect on pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic. So protein bound drug is inert, so it can not show its pharmacokinetic or in pharmacodynamic property. This affects the absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, solubility, distribution, elimination, and other properties of the drug. So as the drug is not available for its action, so it will not show pharmacokinetic and dynamic properties, and it also affect absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, solubility, distribution, elimination, and other properties of the drug. So next is role in diagnosis. It can be used to visualize melanomas of the eye. How it is used as what we do, we conjugate, or you can say we administer the radioactive drug, which will bound to the plasma protein. And when this protein bound drug reaches to eye, we can detect it with the help of some detecting equipments, so that we can visualize the melanomas of the eye. And we also use these protein binding for targeted drug delivery. Protein binding helps to achieve targeted drug delivery as well. And for example, targeting cancer cells by anti-neoplastic drugs. What we will do, we will administer the drugs, that is a neoplastic drug or anti-cancer drugs that will bind to the plasma protein, and these plasma protein transport the drug to the cancer cells, and where it will target the cancer cell and perform its action, and this is known as targeted drug delivery. So this is all about today's lecture. We have studied protein binding, elimination of protein bound drugs, that is restrictive elimination and non-restrictive elimination, then significance of protein binding, and then clinical significance of protein binding. So dear students, thank you for listening. So write any question pertaining to this lecture on Google Classroom discussion board, and the class code for Google Classroom is mentioned as it is mentioned here. So thank you so much.